A very good evening to all delegates. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Thank you so much. So, a warm welcome and very good evening to all organizers, all dignitaries, all esteemed faculty members, and all delegates presented in today's live session of the 3-month certificate program on research methodology and biostatistics. As we completed the first month on basic Ayurveda concepts, chemistry, and some other topics related to allied science. So now moving towards the main part of the program. This is the first session of the second month. So uh, it is an honor to introduce our esteemed resource person for today's online session, Dr. Manushi Srivastava, ma'am, a luminary in the field of medical sociology. Our distinguished resource person currently serving as the professor of medical sociology in the Department of Community Medicine at the Institute of Medical Sciences, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. Ma'am holds PhD from the renowned Banaras Hindu University, showcasing her commitment to academic excellence. With a prolific career as a medical sociologist, ma'am has made significant contributions to the field, authoring approximately 4,000 national and international papers. Her expertise extends beyond academia as she has been invited as a guest speaker to Smith College, USA, where she shared her insights on public health challenges in India. Ma'am delivered many online and offline sessions with institute programs running under Institute of Applied Statistics with different state training centers and district training centers under Dr. Padam Singh Research and Development Scheme and the Masi Charak Research and Development Scheme. Additionally, ma'am serves as an invited faculty member in a reputed management institute. Demonstrating her commitment to impactful research, ma'am has successfully led a major ICMR funded project as a principal investigator and has actively participated as co-investigator in various research endeavors. Moreover, ma'am shoulders significant responsibilities as the nodal officer of the Swachh Bharat Summer Intensive Program and serves as the coordinator of Hunar Bharat Abhiyan, showcasing her dedication to community engagement and social initiatives. It is with great pleasure that we welcome our distinguished resource person whose wealth of knowledge and experience will undoubtedly enrich our understanding of effective research methodology and biostatistics and related concepts in the context of medical sociology. Please join me extending a warm welcome to our respected resource person for the session, Dr. Manushi Srivastava. Please, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Am I audible, Amit?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And thank you for brief introduction about me with the audience. And I want to convey my sincere thanks to the organizers for giving me this beautiful opportunity to interact with all the participants who are connected in this session. And I have gone through the program, and I really personally feel that all the topics are very important and very relevant for all the academicians and researchers. So I appreciate the team of organizers for keeping all the topics very relevant for all of us, those who are doing research in different fields. Uh, before starting my session, uh, I want to share my slides first so that uh, we can keep track on the slides also. My slides are visible, Amit?
Uh, Not right now, ma'am.
Visible?
Yes, yes, visible, ma'am.
Visible. Is it changing? Is it changing?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, now changing, ma'am.
Okay. So, uh, wait, the topic that I have to. Fine. So basically, in first lecture, organizers asked me to deliver a lecture specifically keeping my topic on uh, the selection of topic or selection of the problem and formulating the hypothesis. So I'm in this lecture specifically, I'm going to focus on specific segments of research first. What is exactly research? How we have to move through selecting the topic or selecting the problem. So, how to select a research problem, how to modify it in a specific topic, and how to formulate the hypothesis. This is the topic that we have to cover in this uh, session of 1 hour. So, let me first start my discussion with the concept of research first. Let's clarify the concept of research. What is exactly research? So, I personally feel that what is research is better clarified by understanding that what research is not. Am I audible, Amit?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. And slides are also visible.
No, ma'am. Slides are not visible.
Slides are not visible. Okay.
It's closed.
Now, now,
Not right now, ma'am. Not visible.
okay, okay. Let me check.
Okay, ma'am. No problem.
Let me check. Just give me a few minutes.
Yes, ma'am. No problem, ma'am.
Now it is visible, Amit.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Visible.
Someone told that it's visible.
सुन बेटा इधर
Not
सुन
visible.
क्या क्या पता है अरे नहीं कौन
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Not visible.
Hmm? Now, Amit.
Now it's loading, ma'am.
Okay.
Now screen is visible, ma'am. Full computer screen
Slides
is
is
visible.
visible.
No. Your folder is visible. There are 3 slides in the folder. Whatever you are opening in the computer, that is visible, ma'am. That is screen is visible.
Now,
No, ma'am. Screen is visible. Whatever you will open, that will be visible to us.
okay. Let me check. Why it's not opening up? Now, Amit?
It's a loading, again loading. Now visible, ma'am.
Slide is visible now,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
and it's changing also.
Not right now, ma'am. We are on first slide.
Yeah. It's not changing. Seems some problem is there.
Ma'am, send to me, sir, so we can share from our side.
Is it possible? No? Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. That is possible.
Let me check once again. No. Okay. Okay. I'm sending you by mail, Amit. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, send
Just
me,
give
send
me
me.
2 minutes. Ah,
Okay, ma'am.
please. Funny cat. अमित किस ईमेल एड्रेस पे भेजें आपको? कोई एक बताइए आप ईमेल। क्या क्या ID RD, हाँ RD स्कीम .IAS ना, हाँ हम उस पे भेज दिए। अच्छा कोई नहीं पा रहा है। Did you received, Amit?
Now, ma'am, share from myself.
Yeah, and it's changing now. Can I change it or you will change?
I have to change, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So I can start?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay, fine. I'm extremely sorry for this inconvenience caused. And let's start without wasting any more time. So, what is exactly research? So, on the next slide, let's clarify what is research and what is not. So, mere collection of information, can we consider it as a research? No. Just by collecting information, by asking some of the question with 200 or 300 people and rearranging those facts is again research. Not whether linear relation, only justifying it, not audible. Amit, I'm not
Yes,
audible.
audible, ma'am. Audible, ma'am.
Okay. So, a linear relation, just by collecting information, rearranging the facts, and setting a linear relationship, again, is not termed as research. Sometimes we used to collect some information and sell those ideas. Sell those ideas means just by collecting information regarding any specific set of uh, for example, we are collecting information about some product and we are telling that these specific products are good as compared to these specific products. So just by selling some idea or some concept or some material is again not research. Just by writing a clear, grammatically correct paper without adding a specific set of knowledge in the existing literature, existing body of knowledge is again not research. Because grammatically correct paper without adding any information in the existing body of knowledge can't be considered as research. Only conducting experiments, conducting surveys, and filling the questionnaires is again not research. So these are not the research. Then what is exactly research is? So, a research always used to start with a very pertinent question or a problem or a hypothesis that termed as research question. So before starting, before initiating, before planning any research, there must be a question in our mind. For example, why in a specific area people are not comfortable with vaccination? Why child immunization is low in some specific area? Why old age homes are specifically meant for females and not for male geriatric population? These are some of the questions that can be in our mind by which we can start the uh, research. So research question or research problem is the first thing that should be in our mind before initiating any research. And the second comes hypothesis. What is exactly hypothesis? We will discuss in the coming slides. So the first thing that we need before initiating any research is research question. Then there must be a theoretical framework. For example, let me clarify what is exactly theoretical framework. For example, if we are going to work on suicidal ideations, so we have to go through the literatures that whether on suicidal ideations or on personality of the people or on the deformities, whether any researcher has already worked on it. If some researcher or experts have already worked on this area and set some theoretical concepts, we should quote that theoretical perspectives of earlier researchers in our research that we are planning for. That is theoretical framework. For example, I have guided a thesis on deliberate self harm, which is related to suicidal ideation. And when we searched, we found that Emil Durkheim, which is very known thinker, has already worked and given types of personalities which is linked with suicidal ideations. And we have quoted Emil Durkheim's complete perspective in our thesis. That is theoretical framework. So you have to do a good review of literature search to find out whether any theoretical framework is related to this topic is already existing or not, and if it is existing, you have to quote it. So after research question or research problem or research hypothesis, what comes next? That is theoretical framework, if it exists. Then comes the third, that is research plan. How to conduct, what design we can adopt for our study, what experiments we can conduct. So research planning, what will be the universe, to whom we interview, what number of people we will interview, what a specific research design we are going to adopt, how we are going to collect the data, what tool we will adopt for data collection, how we will analyze it. Fine. So this is the third and fourth step when we consider it as a research. So if there is not any plan, if there is no research design specified, then we can't consider it as a research. If there is no set tool defined earlier for data collection and no set specific way of analysis has been defined, we can't consider it as a research. And the last and very important perspective of research is whether we are going to contribute in the existing body of knowledge. If the area is completely saturated, if we are going to invest 2 or 3 years of our life in this specific research and we are not coming out with any additional information in this specific area, then it is sheer wastage of time, resource, money, manpower, everything. So we should think before initiating our research that what is specifically the gray areas, untouched areas, unsaturated areas in which we have to contribute or in which we have to conduct our research. So these 5 points should be there. That is the research question or problem as well as hypothesis, the theoretical framework if exist, research plan and design, tool of data collection and planning of data collection and analysis, and what we are going to contribute. So this is what we consider it as research. Then next, so what is exactly we consider it as good research? How we can term it as good research? or what we should understand by good research. These 5 questions, I always appreciate that uh, these 5 questions should be there before starting our research. Why? The first question is why we are going to conduct this study or research, or why we are interested to explore this research problem. So set out the research study question and the relevant background information, that why we should embark on this particular research problem, why it is important, whether it is important for the policymakers, whether it is important for the future researchers, whether it is important for the academicians, whether it is important for the politicians, for whom it is important and why it is important. Right? For example, at the time of COVID, lot of people were denying to take the vaccination of COVID. So at that time, lot of studies has been conducted on vaccine hesitancy, because that was the need of the hour, that why people are hesitant to take the vaccines of COVID. So on vaccine hesitancy, lot of studies has been conducted at that specific time. So that was the pertinent question at that specific period, that why people are hesitant. Fine. Then how? Why we are going to study is the study question. How we are going to conduct that study, that is study design. Describe the study design and the rationale for choosing it. Also describe instrument technique to be used. This we will discuss in the coming days, that what is exactly the study design. But any research question, any study question, study problem must have a study design if we are going to conduct a planned research. Then who? Who means our study population. To whom we are going to interview? Who will be our study population? What will be the sample size? How many number of population we are going to cover while conducting our study? Then the fourth question comes, what? For example, if we are going to conduct a study on the on pregnant ladies, let's say, get an example. Then on pregnant ladies we are going to conduct a study, or on school teachers we are going to conduct a study. So there are a lot of variables which is related to pregnant ladies, or under 5 children, or school teacher. We are not going to conduct or taking up all the variables related to school teacher. We must be specifying on some variables. So those specific variables that we are going to measure and outcome is to be analyzed is what is specific variable. For example, regarding pregnant ladies, maybe we are going to conduct a research on why pregnant ladies are not consuming iron folic acid tablets, why pregnant women are not gaining weight, why pregnant ladies are not coming for follow-up visits, why pregnant ladies are not uh, willing to move for institutional delivery. There are a lot of variables, but we in one research, keeping in mind all the feasibility issues, we used to identify some of the variables that we are going to study in our research. So what specific variables we are going to measure. And the last one is, so what? Whether we are going to do something new, something significant, that is going to contribute in the already existing body of knowledge. So if we are going to do all 4 questions, that is why we are going to answer, how we are going to answer, we are going to answer, and what we are going to answer, whether by answering above 4 questions we are going to add something new in the existing body of knowledge, this is very pertinent. If you want to get a significance to your study, importance to your study, it is very important to address these 5 questions before initiating your research. Then only you will be able to say that you are going to conduct a good research. Fine. Next. So let's start the main topic, that how to select a research problem or a research question. So a lot of students used to come and say that, ma'am, I want to study on this specific topic. I think before writing a paper or before initiating a research, topic should not come first. What comes first? A broader area. in which area you want to work, whether you want to work related to the child problems, whether you want to work related to adolescent problems, whether you want to work with adolescent boys, whether you want to work with women related problem, whether you want to work with tribal women's, what specific area, with whom you want to work, in which area you want to work. So, a broader concept, a broader area, a general idea should be in your mind first. Then, that broader field or broader thematic area, consider it as a whole cake, complete cake. Now, start ROL, review of literature. Gradually, while doing reviewing the literature related to that specific field, that specific problem, gradually you come to a small slice of cake that will be your research problem or research topic or research question. Getting my point? So start from general to specific. When you want to decide a research question, or if you want to decide a research problem, you have to move from general to specific. Start with a general concept and gradually move to a specific problem. For example, recently we are working on digital health literacy. How digital health literacy is important, because after COVID we realized, we everyone realized that digital literacy is very important. We should know how to take digital appointments, we should know how to gather information of related to health or studies or interviews or courses digitally. So digital literacy is very important. Whether digital literacy is equally important in the field of health, so digital health literacy is equally important. If yes, whether this digital health literacy is important for which specific group, for women, for men, for children, for adolescent, which specific group will be most helpful for all other groups. So general to specific movement is very important while identifying your research problem or research question. So if you consider a broad concept in your mind, that is a whole cake. And gradually, with good review of literature, you will move to a small slice of cake that will get converted as a research problem or research topic. I will clarify it later again. Next. So, selection depends on review of literature, as I discussed. Focus on an area of research of real interest and in which you are knowledgeable about. So, if you are, see, your interest is the primary thing, your interest area, with whom you are interested, in which area you are interested, in which area you feel that you have a good knowledge, you have a good expertise, and you can work in this specific area. So, what interests you? The first thing that you should keep in your mind while going through review of literature. The second question is, interest is okay, but that interest supports with some important information like what is the current state of research and discussion in this field or area that interests you, whether it is saturated enough, whether there is some scope, whether some new research is going on in this specific field. So, what is the current state of research in this specific field? How would undertaking this research contribute to knowledge in the field? So, you have to identify that whether there is any scope in this field or whether it is completely untouched area, novel area, no one has conducted research, or research has been conducted in foreign only, not in India or not in your region where you are belongs from. So what is the significance of the topic is equally important. So what is the current state of research in that area, how you are going to contribute in this specific field, what is the significance of the topic. As I have given you the example that the problem of vaccine hesitancy at the time of COVID is very significant. Government wants the answer. Government is running lot of programs, but what's the status of those programs? Whether they are helpful for the beneficiaries, whether people are taking benefit of it. So evaluation programs are sometimes very important, very significant. This shows the significance of the topic. And the last and very important point is whether it is practical in the sense whether in as a researcher, whether it is doable for you, whether it is achievable for you, feasible for you, whether it is realistic. So these are some of the questions that you should always keep in mind while starting the research, because as a researcher you have some limitations, and with these limitations you have to conduct your research. So always be practical, be realistic. So these questions should always in your mind before conducting the review of literature to decide a research problem or research topic. Okay, next. So importance of review literature is very, very, very vital. Sometimes we used to say that of literature is very, very casually students used to do reviewing of literature, and I think this is the important segment of any research which guides you, which review of literature is basically like a torch bearer for a researcher. This review will gives you an idea. Okay, so it's very important. Next. So to help you, KUM chart is very important. I always used to suggest my students to go through a KUM chart. KUM chart is known, unknown, and me. This specific chart helps you to identify the saturated area, the gray area, and the topic that you can select for your research. So this is very, very helpful chart that you can use while deciding your topic. Okay. So let me give you some example. For example, the first K column is what is known about the topic. For example, related to any research, for example, lifestyle disorders, causes, risk factor, and management. For example, this area, these specific topics has been already done. Lot of research has been already done in this specific area. For example, lifestyle disorders, their causes, risk factors, how to manage them, saturated. Now, unknown areas. Impact of yoga in prevention and management of lifestyle disorders. You have gone through reviewing lot of literatures. You came to know after good review of literature that these areas are saturated. Lot of studies has been conducted and research results has been published in lifestyle disorders, causes, risk factor, and management. But impact of yoga in prevention and management of lifestyle disorders has not explored that much. So there is gap. You have a scope to work in that specific area, but again it is very broad, lot of variables related to this specific area. So for a researcher with lot of limitations, it is not possible to conduct a research on impact of yoga in prevention and management of lifestyle disorders. There are a lot of lifestyle disorders. So for you, you can identify a specific topic, that is to assess the therapeutic role of yoga practice in management of type 2 diabetes. So this is more specific, that you have gone through literatures and you came to know that on lot of other lifestyle disorders role of yoga has been studied, but in type 2 diabetes management, role of yoga and specifically the therapeutic role of yoga has not been get so much attention in your area or in India or in the area where you are belongs from, is need to be explored much. So you have selected this specific topic for your study. Okay, am I clear? So this is KUM chart. This you can very well use to identify your topic. Okay. Next. So what is exactly a good research topic is define the aims of the research or investigation, set boundaries and parameters for the research. This gives you a boundary under which you have to explore, under which you have to conduct your review of literature. It also provides a direction in which direction you have to go. For example, in the previous example, it was very clear that therapeutic role of yoga in lifestyle disorders, but specifically in type 2 diabetes. So it should be very clear and concise. Every word makes a difference. If in the topic or in the research problem, some words are useless, please remove it. And it should be jargon free and conceptually straightforward. No, I mean, very tricky topics, very tricky research problems may always confuse the researcher as well as the audience also. So it's always better to keep a very clear, concise, straightforward, conceptually straightforward research topic or research problem, so that a researcher can conduct it in a very specific way, in a very planned way. Next. So, research topic writing style is equally important. Continuity of ideas is very important while writing your research topic or research problem. Expression should be very smooth, must maintain consistency in linking ideas and viewpoints, and precision and clarity in expression is equally important. So, these are some of the points that we should always keep in mind while writing our research problem or research question, or to define the research topic also. Fine. Next. Spelling is equally important. Spelling should conform to standard American English as shown in any identified American College dictionary. Capitalization must use uppercase letter for the first letter of the word. Not all the words and all the letters should be in uppercase. This creates problem in reading. So just compare it. Capitalization of first letter of each important word is sufficient. Checking of spelling is equally important, so always try to apply the spell check tool. Peer review and reread the topic and your research problem. Peer review and reread, what do you mean by peer review and reread? Peer review and reread means you take help of your peers while deciding your research problem. You write your research problem or research topic and give it to your peer members and ask them to read it, and and give their feedback on the idea that they got by going through that specific research problem. Whether the research problem or research topic that you have decided and the audience or the peers, those who are reading it, getting the same meaning, understanding the same meaning, and you also reread it. Sometimes what happens, you must have experienced it. You just write a article and keep it for 15 days and again read the same article. You yourself can identify lot of problem in continuity, in understanding, in you will realize the problem in getting the meaning of the paragraphs and sentences. So rereading your own version of topic or problem is very important. So peer review and reread are very beautiful techniques to make corrections or rectifications in your written research problem or research question. Fine. And avoid abbreviations in writing the research question or research topic. We should always avoid abbreviations. Fine. Next. So there is a small brainstorming session. I have just mentioned some of the topics, which is followed by a research question. Because if there is a research question, then only you will be able to type to write a research topic. So, for example, first example, you can see all are in caps lock, which is very tough to understand or read. As compared to second topic is more visible and easy to read as compared to first one. And in first one there is a abbreviation that is equally, so abbreviation should be avoided. Second, what is the problem in the second topic? Some trace elements. Some means there is lack of clarity. Some trace elements means there are a lot of trace elements. How to understand which specific trace elements we are talking about? So such type of ambiguity, such type of confusion should not be there. The third topic is too long. Such type of topics which is too long, full of word jargon, should be avoided, should not be appreciated. And the last one, you will see there is mistake in the spelling of experimental. So if people used to get the concept that if a researcher is not able to write the topic correctly or research problem correctly, a single statement, how a researcher can write the thesis correctly. So be specific. Apply the spell check tool. You also recheck your research question or research problem statement or research topic statement, which is very important, and it gives a very wrong impression about the researcher if there are some spelling mistakes in the topic or the research question. Right? Next. So these are some of the criterias how you can prioritize your research problem. So if you are going to select any research question, the first point that you should keep in your mind, that is relevance. How much is this relevant? For example, in today's concept, there are in today's era, there are a lot of things that is relevant. And some of the concepts are very irrelevant, outdated, old, which is not at all required. So you should always keep in mind the relevance of your research. Second, duplication. If lot of studies has been already conducted, it will be easy for the researcher to get the articles for discussion, and it will be easy for the researcher to set the methodology section, to write the methodology section, but it is complete duplication. We never give the study a importance or significance. Fine. Urgency of data needed, timeliness. For example, at the time of sometimes some evaluation studies has been conducted, which is required in specific time. For in the within 3 months, you have to evaluate this government program. You have to get the feedback and give the report. Right? Political acceptability of a study. For example, a lot of villages has been declared nowadays as open defecation free (ODF). Government has already declared ODF. Now you are going to study on the same problem, and you evaluate it, and you coming out with some of the result that no, the villages those who are identified as open defecation free, still defecation, open defecation is going on. You have to think whether political acceptability will be there or not, or how to present the result. Right? Feasibility of the study. If you are going to conduct a study on research on rare diseases whose cases are spread all over the country, single one or two cases in all the spreaded areas, whether it is feasible for a researcher to go meet and collect data from all the cases? No. So feasibility of the study is also very important point that we should keep in mind while prioritizing our research problem. Applicability of result. If we are conducting a research and we are coming out with research result, it should be applicable, and applicable on whom? These study results, who are going to use it exactly? Whether it is useful for the policymakers, whether it is useful for the researchers, whether it is useful for the uh, uh, lawyers, whether it is useful for doctors, whom it is applicable for. And ethical acceptability, it is very important nowadays. If you are going to collect mere information, earlier it was the situation that if you are going to collect some sample of blood or urine or any other body fluid, you have to take the consent. But now the situation has been changed. If you are going to collect personal information of anybody, then also you have to take the consent. You have to ensure confidentiality. You have to ensure that a person is free to leave the study in between without any harm, without any loss. So these are some of the issues that we should keep in mind, which is termed as ethical acceptability. So these 7 points a researcher should always keep in mind while deciding the research problem. Fine. Next. So let's start with formulating a research question. How to formulate a research question? What steps we have to follow? So see, the movement should be always from general to specific. Now we are going to start. Next, topic. What topic we can take? Topic means broader area, not specific word, broader area. Drug interaction between Ayurvedic and allopathic drug. This broad area, this whole cake is in our mind. That people used to write a combination medicines in their prescription. Doctors used to write combination medicines. Usually, Ayurvedic doctors used to prescribe both the medicines of allopathic as well as Ayurvedic. So, how these drugs used to interact with each other? This is a broad area, broad concept in our mind. Next, then what research problem comes in our mind? How Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs interact with each other? किस तरह से interact करते हैं? Whether it is useful, whether it is harmful. Next. So, what is the statement of the problem? To analyze drug and drugs interaction between Ayurvedic drugs and allopathic drugs. This is the statement of the problem. Next, what is the specific research question now? Are the interaction of various Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs synergistic or antagonistic in nature? This is the specific research question that is comes as our research question or topic. Fine. Okay. Next, one more example, a very general example. The broader area is distance learning, online learning, which is common, very common nowadays. After COVID, it becomes very common, distance learning. Earlier also, you must have heard about IGNU. IGNU is one of the very good distance learning app. I mean, program that was very important, very good material. Fine. So distance learning is our broader area. Next, what problem comes in our mind? Lack of student in distance classes as compared to regular classes. Why in regular classes number of students are comparatively more as compared to distance classes? Then next, problem statement comes that to study why students do not attend distance education classes at a community college. Why students don't like distance classes, distance education programs. Next, then what is the final research question? Does the use of website technology in the classroom deter students from enrolling in a distance education classes? There might be lot of problems which becomes the challenging, which is actually the challenging. So one problem we have taken, does the use of website technology is the main reason of deterring students from getting enrolled in distance education classes? Because the technology, see, in the beginning of our class, what problem we faced? Technology related. Because of that, our sessions start bit late. These are some of the technological problems. In some areas, technology support is good, internet support is good, website support is good. At some places, it is not. So maybe this could be a reason for as a deterring factor for students to get enrolled in distance education classes. Next. So these are some of the discussion that we have carried out related to identifying the research topic through the passage of research problem. First, we should keep in mind the research problem. Then we process through a problem of statement, and then we decide a research question or a topic. Fine. Now, coming on the second part of the session, that is hypothesis. What is exactly the hypothesis? See, research question, research problem, and hypothesis. These three are very linked with each other. If you have a research question clearly in your mind, then only you will be able to decide a hypothesis. So, what is it? See, you have decided a research question. Now you have a question in your mind which can be correct proven correct, which can be proven wrong. So, hypothesis is scientists make an educated guess that can be tested. So, that research question is a educated guess that a researcher, a scientist used to make. And while conducting the research, they used to test this educated guess. And at the end of the research, that test can be proven right. That educated guess can be proven right. That educated guess can be proven wrong. So, the educated guess by a researcher, by a scientist, that will be tested through the research process, and at the end of the research it can be proven as right as wrong. Fine. Next. So what is research hypothesis exactly? How to formulate hypothesis depends on the our understanding about research hypothesis. So hypothesis is simply a assumption, a simple assumption which can be tested and can be proved to be right or wrong. So basically, hypothesis is mere assumption. Hypotheses are tentative, or we can consider it as an intelligent guess as to the solution of the problem. So we have decided a research problem. Now we used to guess a statement. We consider an intelligent guess and we solve it with the passage of time. Now hypothesis is a specific statement of prediction. It could be like this, it could be like this. So it describes in concrete terms what you expect to happen in the study. Hypothesis is an assumption about the population of the study. The population that we are studying, we used to frame a hypothesis, a simple assumption about the population which is under study. It also delimits the area of research and keeps the researcher on the right track. What we used to do with the help of the statement of hypothesis, we used to delimit the area of research. We used to define the boundary and keep the researcher on the right track that you have to work in this specific area, in this specific line. You can't move outside this specific framework of your study. So, hypothesis is basically a intelligent guess about the population under study, to which we use to conduct a research and prove it as a right or wrong statement, which is helpful in delimiting the area of research and also keeps the researcher on track. This is the purpose of formulating a hypothesis. Next, how to write a hypothesis? Now the question is how to write a hypothesis. So to write a hypothesis, focus on the specific relationship between variables. For example, there are two variables. Now you have to uh, write a hypothesis statement focusing on the specific relationship between two variables. For example, if there are two variables like freedom of movement and women empowerment. So, for example, if we are telling that women empowerment depends on two variables, freedom of movement and employment. So, relationship between the variables. There is no relationship between these two variables, that is employment and women empowerment. Or there is no relationship between freedom of movement and women empowerment. So, what is the relationship? No relationship or strong relationship? Depending on the purpose of the study, the hypothesis may be phrased as if then statement. Purpose, what is the purpose of the study? For example, if we want to study the utilization of health services by women, and you want to understand that what is the role of women empowerment in utilization of health services, and we want to know that that empowerment of women depends on what specific variables. So what is the purpose of the statement? We want to understand that what are the deterring factors, or what are the factors which is responsible for poor utilization of health services by women. We came to know by going through review of literature that there is poor women empowerment. Because of poor women empowerment, women are not able to get the services. And women empowerment depends on a lot of factors. So, what is exactly the purpose of the study? Hypothesis, phrase, or statement depends on that. A correlation statement, or a statement of expected difference between the groups, or superiority. This type, the treatment 1 is better than treatment 2. Superiority. Treatment 2 is inferior than treatment 1. Inferiority statement. Both are equally at par to each other. Both treatment patterns are equally at par to each other. These are directly proportionate relationships. One is good, second is also equally good. So these are some of the statements which shows the relationship between two variables, and hypothesis statement is basically focused on the specific relationship between variables, right? So next, there are two types of hypothesis. You must have heard about it: null and alternate hypothesis. Null and alternate hypothesis also shows the relationship, what type of a specific relationship exists between the variables. And this is the statement that we use to frame while formulating the hypothesis statement. For example, null hypothesis. Why I'm people sometimes student used to ask that, ma'am, which hypothesis is good, null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis? So I always used to say that there is not the question of good or bad. Both are equally correct. Both are scientifically proven statements. But null hypothesis is more preferred. Why? Because we used to say that researchers should be unbiased. Biasness should not be there before initiating the study. And null hypothesis shows no relationship. It means no biasness. So when a hypothesis is stated negatively, it is called null hypothesis. It is a no difference, no relationship hypothesis. That is, it states that no difference exists between the parameters and being compared to, or no relationship exists between the variables being compared. It is usually represented as H0 or HO. For example, there is no relationship between a family's income and nutritional status of family members. No relationship. There is no relationship between education and vaccine hesitancy. There is no relationship between adolescent school registration and digital literacy. No relationship. This no relationship means neutral state, negative state, null hypothesis. Now, with the passage of time, during research, we used to prove it as a correct, that yes, there is no relationship between family income and nutritional status of family members, or we will prove it wrong, that yes, there is relationship between family income and nutritional status of family. On the contrary, alternate hypothesis is okay. On the contrary, alternate hypothesis is, it is the hypothesis that describes the researcher's prediction that there exists a relationship between two variables, or it is the opposite of null hypothesis. It is represented as HA or H1. For example, there is a definite relationship, or family income and nutritional status of family members is strongly associated with each other, or there is a definite relationship between family's income and nutritional status of family members, or adolescent literacy strongly impact digital health literacy. These type of statements shows alternate hypothesis, which shows a relationship and a strong relationship. Fine. So, a null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis are two types of hypothesis, and this is the way how you can formulate a hypothesis. So, this is the technique how you can frame the hypothesis statement. The purpose of framing the hypothesis statement is clear. What you should keep in mind while formulating the hypothesis that we have discussed. So, from my part, it's over. If you want to ask anything, I'm open for the queries. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now all delegates are requested. If there is any doubt regarding today's session, you can ask. You can write in the chat box as well as you can ask directly.
Namaste, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Namaste, ma'am. Thank you for that wonderful session. It was very informative. Actually, my doubt is regarding a special type of study. So maybe my main doubt was regarding if hypothesis is actually required in all the studies. So I'll just supplement my doubt with a scenario that I'm thinking. So basically, when we are dealing with some subjects which are completely new, so this type of scenario actually comes up, especially in case of transdisciplinary research. And currently, it is more number of such researches are going on, especially with respect to Indian knowledge systems. So, as I'm from the Ayurveda fraternity and I'm also from BHU, so maybe I'll ask something related to transdisciplinary research. So, for example, if you're conducting a research with respect to the relation between Ayurveda and maybe some other Indian knowledge system, which we are completely unaware of. So, for example, something like maybe Arthashastra of Kautilya. So we don't know the extent of relation. What is the extent of relation and all? So in that case, when we are making a hypothesis, so just like you told, it should be an intelligent assumption. So we don't, here in this case, we don't even have the basic knowledge to make such an intelligent assumption. So in such a scenario, how will we formulate a hypothesis, or is a hypothesis actually needed? Because maybe the first type of research only can give us some idea about the extent of the linkage between the two sciences, and then maybe the further researches can be designed with a perfect hypothesis. So in such a scenario, how will we address this problem?
Ma'am, you are muted at your side.
Variables are there on
Now audible. Now audible, ma'am.
Dr. Bharadwaj.
Yes, ma'am.
It's okay if you don't have any prior knowledge or information about specific field which is very novel. It's okay, but your study must have some of the variables.
Yes, ma'am.
Without variables, you must have not going to start any study. So
Yes, ma'am.
framing a hypothesis, you only need variables. What is the relationship, whether there is any relationship or not, what is the direction of the relationship you need while framing the alternate hypothesis. If you have to frame a null hypothesis, you don't need to know about the relationship between variables. Getting my point or not?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Getting my point, Bharadwaj?
Yes,
Fine.
ma'am.
So you only need the variables that you are going to study, and I'm quite sure any study must have some variables before initiating the study. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
so so before framing a null hypothesis, you don't need to know about the relationship and the direction of the relationship. You just frame a null hypothesis.
Okay, ma'am.
Null hypothesis will always limit you. Fine.
Right, ma'am. Right.
So
Got
it's
it.
a good practice. It's a good practice.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
And there are some query in the chat box from Dr. Sneha that how many hypotheses are formed in comparative study.
Yeah, in comparative, see, there is not the question of number of hypotheses. I have seen lot of theses in which on every objective they used to frame a hypothesis. This is not that much required. Hypothesis can be one for the whole study, or even you can frame two or three hypotheses for different objectives also. But for comparative study also, there must be one major, see, dependent variable, independent variable of your study should be very specific. Now you have to frame the hypothesis on the basis of the dependent and independent variables and their relationship. Number hardly depends on this. Fine. So this question is very, I mean, I'm not, uh, this question is not correct itself. That how many number of hypotheses we can frame. Prevalence, to know the prevalence, no, to know the prevalence, hypothesis is not required. To know the prevalence, you can search for the previous studies that has been already conducted. If studies are not there to find the prevalence, you can plan a small miniature study. Getting, for that miniature study, you can, of course, tentative guess you can keep in mind while conducting that specific study to find the prevalence, that you can keep in your mind, but that is not that much essential. Research problem and research title are not same, but research title follows the path of research problem. A research problem should be in your mind, then only you will be able to come up on the research title. So of course, research problem and research title is not same. Research problem is vague, a broad concept. With the help of gradually conducting review of literature on that specific research problem, you will come up on the research title. Which paper one which does not open the available link, so please again share that link.
I will say.
Acha.
That is in the WhatsApp group. You can find over there. It's a working till now.
One question is there that is it mandatory to mention study design in the research topic? No, not at all. Not at all. In your research topic, it is not at all mandatory to mention the study design. If you feel, you can mention it. If you don't, you can mention it in methodology section. It is not at all mandatory. Right? Anything else?
Dr. Lalita wrote a query. If you want to prove that two variable are not equal to each other.
If you want to prove that
Namaste,
variable
ma'am.
are, yeah, namaste.
Ma'am, I want to know that if I want to prove that two variables are not equal to each other, do I have to take that in my null hypothesis, or I have to add it in my alternate hypothesis? I want to prove that they are not equal to each other.
They are not equal, no
Yes.
relation. Such type of negative statement are always considered as null hypothesis. Always.
Okay,
Both
ma'am.
two variables are not equal. There is no relationship. They are not associated. They are not linked. Such type of statements are basically negatively framed statement, which we use to consider it as null hypothesis. Okay, ma'am?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am? Yeah, can I ask? Ma'am, I want to know if there are two drugs in a comparative study. So how do you form a hypothesis in that case? Like, how many hypotheses? Will there be like 4 hypotheses? Because it's finally a comparative study with two drugs which are both unproven drugs. So you're doing two independent studies in the comparison.
Nay,
So how
nay.
many hypotheses can we form?
No, on these two drugs, what you are going to study, whether you are going to prove it as superiority study, one drug is superior than another,
Okay.
or both are equally good, or you are going to compare the cost effectiveness of two drugs, what you are going to do.
No, the title of the study goes by effectiveness of both the drugs in a particular disease. Suppose there are two drugs, for example, one is Eranmul and one is Rasna. It is being tested on a disease called as Gridrasi, that is sciatica. And we are checking pain levels, like relief in pain scale, like that.
No,
So
there is any relationship you are going to prove between these two drugs?
no, there's no relationship as such, but
Two different hypotheses you have to prove. Two different hypotheses.
okay.
For
So
both the
this thing. Okay, so it will be like there'll be four different hypotheses. Will it be like that? So null hypothesis will be
yeah. Please come on.
Dr. Sneha?
The null hypothesis. Yeah, Dr. Sneha. The null hypothesis will be
hello. Yeah, the null hypothesis of one drug will be it is not effective in that particular disease, and then it will be the same for the other drug as well. Null hypothesis, there will be two null hypotheses of group A and group B. Then there will be an alternate hypothesis proving that it is both, it is effective. Then there will be
no. You have to mention null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis.
Okay.
Not both.
Okay.
So if you are going to mention null hypothesis, you have to give the null hypothesis for both the drugs.
Okay. And what if we are comparing the efficacies of both? So will there be like, for example, group A drug is better than group B, and another or one more hypothesis will be formed like group B is better than group A. Will there be like multiple hypotheses? Okay, so there will be multiple alternate hypotheses.
Yes, why not? Because some inferiority study or superiority studies must have multiple alternate hypotheses.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. What are the
So the session is going to end. I hope that all queries are answered. As there is, I'm sick that there is no query in the chat box. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for delivering such a wonderful session and initiating the second month of the program. I hope everyone enjoyed the session as we covered all fundamental concepts in first month and moving towards our main part of the program. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for your time and expertise sharing in this session. And we again met with ma'am at 6 p.m. with another session that how to set up aims, objective, and title of the study. So all delegates are requested to join at 6 p.m. tomorrow as scheduled time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, ma'am. This is the end of today's session. Someone asked that the link for the assessment who are not completed yet, please complete because for the certification, the attempt is necessary. It is not necessary that you need to get a good marks, but the attempt is necessary for the certification because we have to provide the report to all organizers that you involved in our sessions and assessment and quizzes. So you need to attempt all quiz and assessment. So if anyone missed due to some issues and problem, as I have received some messages, so still it is open. You can go through it. You can attempt the assessment and quiz. That is incomplete from your side. Thank you everyone.